wonders. Cool. Next is Amanda. Oops.
Okay, so we haven't had anybody interested in Journal Club this semester, which I get because there's a ton of stuff going on. But we would like to do it at least once next semester so the new initiates can see what it's like. So if anybody's interested, most people last year just did it with their cat. Please, please, please email me if you're interested. It wouldn't be long, it would be like 5 minutes. Wouldn't have to be in depth, you already know a ton about the topic. So that's all.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so we have a guest speaker today that I'm really excited about. I met Staci through my mom. She works at Brookstone out in Elkhorn. It's a skilled nursing and assisted living facility. And we did a car seat eval, right? For Vinny? No?
No.
Oh, I thought
That's
we
how
did.
I met your mom.
Oh, okay. We talked about it. Anyway, so then I just started doing some shadowing with her, and I think I just wanted to share one of my most favorite moments ever. And that's kind of how I decided that I really wanted to get involved with animal-assisted therapy, which she does. She has Sylvia here, her dog, and her little boy, Vinny. But we were at the facility and doing intervention, and we were working with this little elderly gal. She was so sweet, but she really didn't smile very much, and she was kind of just like going through the motions as far as intervention goes. And then we brought Sylvia, and she was throwing the ball, and then she looked down right at her sweet little face, and Sylvia was looking right at her, and she just said, "Sylvia, you make me smile." And I was just like a ball bag. And so from that moment,
she doesn't talk hardly at all.
Yeah, barely talks, doesn't really even smile or interact very much, but she looked right at the dog and just told her how much she made her happy. And I just thought that it's the little things that, as an occupational therapist, if we can find some way to motivate our clients, even if it's something simple like that, where it means the world. So with that, I'll introduce Staci, and she's going to talk to us a little bit.
Hello. This is me and my boys. Vinny here. I graduated from Creighton from the OT program back in '96, a long time ago. After graduating, I moved to Utah, and I worked at the Regional Medical Center in their rehab department for.
Do you mind?
Ooh, do I have to?
Can you put it around the neck?
Yeah. Can I?
I'm loud.
We have distance, people.
I worked at the. Now I feel like I'm loud.
I'll turn it down.
In neural rehab, and so that's where I got lots and lots of experience right out of school. So a lot of head injury, strokes, spinal cord, hips, knees, all of that. So it was great. And then I moved back here after I was married and had my first child. Wanted to be closer to home, and I worked at Quality Living. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Head injury, strokes, spinal cords, the whole business. That's my favorite. And then after a divorce and 4 kids, and after having Vinny, I moved out to Brookstone Meadows in Elkhorn, which is long-term care and subacute. So lots of the hips, knees, ortho stuff, but then also the long-term care stuff. I will tell you about Vinny just a little bit. He was born with Cornelia de Lange syndrome, and I'm sure you guys probably don't know a lot about it. It's a genetic impairment that's developmental and cognitive delays. He is nonverbal. These kids range, just like a lot of the other syndromes, from mild to moderate to severe. I would say physically, he's got all of his limbs, can move everything. He's on the higher end of that, but cognitively, I'd say he's more on the moderate to severe end of things. He doesn't talk. I don't know, he probably functions at a 6-month-old level, I would say. He's 8 years old. He was going to school over at Oak Valley for OPS, and he was in a special needs classroom, and it was fine. Everything was okay. This is just kind of an example of the therapist and the mom role, and if you guys can take anything from that, anytime our therapist would come in, they'd be like, oh, you're an OT. And I'm like, no, I'm the mom. Because as a mom, I know OT things, like I knew, his reflux when he was, projectile puking. I'm like, oh, he could be aspirating, so let's go get a swallow study. I mean, those kind of things was great. But I didn't work in the peds field. That wasn't a big interest of mine at all. And so that was one of the big things is I told the therapist, don't look at me as a therapist. I am not. I'm the mom. So anyway, one of the teachers recommended having us check out JP Lord. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that down here at the Med Center. And I was just telling Katie I could kick myself, number one, being a therapist and knowing about the place. Number two, it's an amazing place. I don't know if you've been there, but for him, his cognitive and, just his whole, the level of where he's at, that place provides wonderful, wonderful things for him. And because we've been there for, I don't know, a few months now, we've just hit a total progression with our physical skills, and it's been pretty exciting. We'll show you here in a minute. But I'm just trying to think of some things. He's got reflux, and so he was aspirating when he was really young, so he was G-tube fed. So he's got a G-tube, and it's been 100% fed through the G-tube, but he's no longer aspirating and can eat food by mouth. This is just an experience I want to tell you guys about. So we went over to Monroe-Meyer to the feeding program, and that's a whole nother discussion, but we did a 2-year program over there. So they got him so he could eat by mouth, 100% by mouth, but we were feeding him literally all day long, small meals all day long. And that was their focus, was to get my child eating and off of the tube. Well, single mom, young kids at the time, I think he was 2, so they were 2, 4, 6, and 8. And I'm like, hold up, I can't, that's where I battled with my OT experience and my mom experience, is like, that's not my quality of life. I cannot neglect my children to feed this child 24 hours a day to get his nutrition in. So that's when I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. Quality of life is the most important thing. And that's kind of falls in the whole OT, realm. And I think it's so, so important for you guys to take with you out in the field is you need to get to know your families. You need to know what their life is like. You're not treating just the patient, you're treating those families. And even, working with spinal cords, head injuries, and my older folks, you can set up home programs for them. You can say, you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, that's not the only thing in their life. And so you need to really, our therapists were amazing in the school system. They, when he was under 3, they came in, they worked with my other boys. We figured out ways, hey boys, come play with us. And, you can help your brother, work on sitting up by, doing this. So they made it really functional and integrated it into what our crazy family looked like at the time. We do a lot of PT. So we were involved with PT for a while. And of course, mobility is my big thing now. He's 8 and he weighs 40 pounds and he's hard to carry. So I'm like, all right, we got to get to walking. And I feel as a therapist, I kind of knew he wasn't ready for a lot of years. And then as he progressed over time, I'm like, all right, we got to do it. This is it. So we started over at Creighton Pediatric Therapy, amazing, amazing place. And we started working with just PT. And then probably in this past July, he started a lot of self-injurious behaviors, pulling out his hair. He still kind of gets at his cheeks, but really, really hurting himself. And so it's like, okay, is this sensory? Your OT mind starts going, the PT, we're getting in with the doctor and trying, the essential oils, and we're like, is it the diet? Is it, going through everything? Well, we ended up going to a pediatric behavioral pediatrician, and we got on some Risperdal, and that was the magic drug, because he calmed, his internal anxiety just calmed. He is definitely a sensory guy, loves the deep pressure. This is what we do. We rub hands and lotion. But that allowed for therapy, for him to progress in his therapies. And so then we decided, so we got OT on board at that same time, and the way they worked together, it was just amazing. I mean, so we'll show you here his pool. He works in the pool, loves the water. So we do therapy on land one day and water one day. And this is Casey. She is his PT. This is the very first time, and we've been working in the pool for a year and a half. And here we got the life. This is the very first time they've been walking with him, handheld assist through the pool over and over and over. I mean, months and months and months. One day, and I don't know, it's after this Risperdal and after therapies, so he's got a life jacket on, I think 1 pound weight cuffs on his ankles. He just started doing this, and we were all freaking out. So then I thought, well, we're going to do this for like 6 months, and then maybe we can progress to something, you know, without the life jacket or without the weights. But you can't hear him here, but he was he's very verbal with the noises he makes. Anxiety. And then, so then the next week we come in, she takes off, I don't even know. Oh yeah, that's bad quality, but no life jacket. And so he's testing out, and it's just like, oh. But this is how important water therapy is too, and I wasn't a huge believer in it, but now I am. And so it's been a fun progression, and so OT works with her to find his motivation, because he's not motivated by a lot of things, and you never know what he's motivated by from one minute to the next. So Marissa's got the bubbles and all the, you know, the cause and effect stuff and the beans and all of that. So that's been kind of an exciting thing for us. I never thought he would walk, but now we have hope that we will get there at some point.
This one's the most recent, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the most recent one. See, now she's graded it by shallower water and less support. And this is an example right here. So we talk about goals all the time, and they are so functional. Everything is just so functional, because she's like, what's important to you? And I'm like, I just want to be able to walk from my car to my house with my purse and my bag holding his hand versus making 6 trips. And so here we're working on just one hand walking. And I'm like, if I could do that, my life would be so much easier. And so, I don't know, it's amazing to be blessed with a child with special needs and be a therapist to be on the other side. It's totally given me a different outlook, even not just with him, but with my patients and their families. And when I see my patient's wife just today, you know, he's, you know, an 80-year-old guy that's a stroke, and they just brought him into our facility, and, you know, and you can just tell she's all worked up and anxious because he didn't sleep, and he's being kind of ornery to the nurses, and it's like, okay, take a time out from him and let's focus on you, and let you know it's okay to be anxious and it's okay to be frustrated, and your husband's fine. We're gonna work through it. So with that being said, Sylvia is 3, and I got her as a puppy, and never with it in mind of having a therapy dog or bringing her to work or anything like that, but she was this shy, timid little thing, and the vet knew what I did, and said, why don't you take her up there to the nursing home with you a couple days out of the week, just to kind of acclimate her, socialize her. She wouldn't walk through double doors, she wouldn't walk by men, just walk up to people, no way. So I started taking her a couple days, and then I'm on the long-term care side, and a lot of these folks, quality of life, their meaning, so what? Here comes a therapist, let's hit a balloon, you know, big deal. And so she's a great retriever, and it's amazing where just having her with me, not expecting anything out of her, not expecting anything out of the residents, watching, they're leaning forward in their chair to pet her, they're trying to self-propel to get over to her, and then we bring in the treats. Well, if you're going to give her a treat, you need to reach for the treat. Mm-hmm. And just motivation. This is my favorite story right here with this little guy, and he just so happened they put him on our brochures. Sid is his name, and he is old, like 100, maybe 99.
Want me to pass these out?
Yeah, I don't. You guys can do with them what you want, but I just love it because I love this story.
I worked with
Yes, and he needed to work on some balance training, and he refused all therapists. All therapists refused him. Well, come to find out, after digging around, they raised Dalmatians as when he was younger, and his son and everything. And so just one day, he wasn't my patient. One day I'm at the nurse's station, and you know, he sees Sylvia, and he's trying to get over to her. And so then I'm like, well, can I take over that patient? So they let me work with him, and he agreed to work with me only if Sylvia was there. And so I said, well, we're not going to do therapy. Let's forget therapy. It's dumb, you know. And he's like, okay. So I'm like, well, why don't we just take your walker out in the hallway? And she likes to play ball, but I need you to stand up to throw it, to get it far enough. Okay. Stands up, you know. So here we are doing all this balance stuff and reaching, and pretty neat bond that those two have made. And so I was like, wow, okay. Let's see where we can go with this. If the facility's going to let me bring her, let's work at getting, you know, certified. And so that's what we do. I mean, we work with all of our, especially for the long-term care. And I shouldn't just say the long-term care, because I go over to the other side where they're hips and knees, and those folks, you know, they're more coherent and more with it. And they love her too. I mean, we play ball. They walk her on the leash. I mean, I had a little guy, Alzheimer's little guy, and very hard to follow directions and commands, but he had a lifelong dog. So every day to get our therapy in, we'd walk down, he'd reach down, pick up her water bowl. That was his job, fill up her water. We'd play ball, then we'd take her outside to go potty. He'd help with all of that. So really, really neat what they can offer. And not just even therapy. I mean, she's just in the facility, what she can offer to just all the residents and the staff. Amazing what she can do to staff. We go sit and family members, we sit in care plan meetings, and you know, it'll be a real intense one where we're making some recommendations family doesn't want to hear, and you can just, everybody's on the seat and they're crying, and she just kind of comes over, and then, you know, it's very calming and reassuring. Out of the 3 years we've been there, I think I've only probably had 3 or 4 people that haven't liked dogs, and we just, you know, we stay our distance and don't push her on them. So it's been beneficial for both Sylvia and our facility. So that's a little bit about our story. Katie, what else did you want us to talk about?
Do you have any, like, I guess you already talked about kind of advice for students, but anything?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is just talk to your families, talk to that person. And it's coming out of school and coming back here reminds me so much of school. You guys are lucky, and I know you guys are like, ugh. But you will get through it, and it will be it's the best decision you guys ever made, and just get through it. Because I can say literally being out 20 years, I am so fortunate to have found the profession. And I mean, it makes me want to cry almost, because you can do anything you want. I mean, geriatrics was my love initially going into school, and then after an intern, I got kind of sucked into the neuro stuff. And then it was like, oh my God, I love this. And then, you know, so you just have so many opportunities. I thought I was going to do hands. I couldn't tell you a thing about hands now. I mean, after 20 years, you know, that was my love in school. So it's just, you have so many opportunities in front of you and so many options. I'm excited for you. You're very, very lucky. And for me, fortunately, like I was telling Helene, is when Vinny was born, I was like, oh my God, I have to be a stay-at-home mom now. I have a special needs kid. I can't work. Well, I have to work. I love my job. I love helping people and doing what I do. So after my life kind of calmed down from him, I went back part-time, and I was able to go back part-time. I mean, there's not a lot of jobs you can go work part-time and still be able to live, you know, and take care of your children. And, you know, I mean, I'm able to pick up carpool. I'm able to be there for my kids after school. And a lot of our folks at our facility, you know, it's really, depending on what job you're in, it's flexible. So, yeah,
I think it's a cool job because you can work part-time and still make a huge difference.
Absolutely. I always joke around, I would work for free if I could. If I could afford it, I would do my job for free, because it's just such a great feeling to make a difference in somebody's lives. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any questions?
Have you found Sylvia? Have you ever been in your family?
Yes, I have a golden retriever at home too, who's just as sweet as her, but she's very needy. And Sylvia will go lay down. I mean, if, you know, people pet her and then she'll go lay down. My other dog is just up in your face all the time. But I think it's so odd how they know. like they know. He spends a lot of time on the floor, and the dogs will go lay down next to him. He'll lay on him, he'll put their feet on him. I mean, he scoots, I mean, they're motivators. He scoots to them. I mean, we have like a hammock swing that I put him in after school, back and forth. And the dogs go stand right at the hole of the opening. And, you know, he sits there and just, you know, ears and in their mouth. And it's just, yeah, I think it's beneficial to all of them. You know, it's just weird.
He probably gets good sensory.
Yes.
From him.
Do you see, as he progresses, you know, that he might work more with this dog or be trained?
Well,
The
I'm
reason I
hoping
mention
for
this
walking.
because my friend has a special needs adult now, and he's about his 6-month level as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so she got a dog and helps her. I don't know how they've worked it with him, but they've trained him to work with
Yeah.
the other side.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping what would be neat is if, like, even, I mean, because we need to work with her more, but she's so smart that it would be great even just for standing. I mean, if he could stand with her and he could provide a support for him so he could use his other hand for whatever. Okay,
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah, so
You have
it's animals are amazing. I mean, and that's funny, and it's not just for our patients, but for staff. I mean, we have a routine at work where I have to, if I need to be somewhere by a certain time, I have to plan a half hour before to start leaving, because we have certain offices we go through that they have treats, that they have to give her the treats, and then it takes me a half hour to get out of there. But they look forward to it. It's a great break in the day, and they get to pet a dog, and the fun thing is on the long-term care side, she's become such a figure over there that families have brought dog treats in, so she knows which rooms and which patient. I mean, they carry it in their little walker bags, and she'll follow them down the hall, but it's quality of life for them. You know, where's Sylvia? And if I don't bring her, heaven forbid, if I don't bring her, then I'm in trouble. So, but it's pretty amazing. I think it would be Sylvia.
You gonna hack?
Dry throat. I think it'd be amazing to see what they can do with kids. I mean, I know there's, you know, in the like Children's Hospital and whoever, they, you know, bring dogs in that work with kids. I just think, how cool would that be, you know, to get the peds to do whatever through the dogs. But yeah.
What did your training look like for her to get certified?
Well,
What, like,
we started last I guess it's still this year, back in, when did we start? June, and it went right through the holidays when we were out of town, and we were going to miss too many classes, so we went through like 3 classes of it, and then we're going to start back up and go through again this spring. But it's just basic, you know. We had to do the canine citizen training, and you know, she gets a little scarf and we go around in public, so I take her out to like Lowe's and the hardware stores and Shields, and I mean, her socialization is so much better now. So yeah, hopefully we'll be certified this year. So yeah.
was your facility pretty flexible on letting you bring someone?
Yeah, it was like, everybody always kind of brought their dogs in. They're a welcoming facility, you know, of dogs. And so then I just kind of started bringing her, and then I thought, I should probably ask, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, here's the rules. I'm like, okay, we're following the rules. And then they asked her to be in the brochure. I'm like, okay, we're good. if they're asking, you know, and that she's on their commercial. I mean, we're on the commercials. So, and that's when we first started coming. And so I was like, oh, I don't know about all these lights. But yeah, it worked. It was pretty neat.
Did you start doing aquatics with her or something?
Mm-mm.
No? I
Mm-mm.
thought Mom
Who,
said
her?
something about that. Yeah.
No.
No.
So I don't know. Any other thoughts?
No?
No.
Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming. We
Thanks
really
for-
appreciate
It's
it.
fun to come back, share our story. If you guys ever want a kid to practice on, invite us down.
Yeah.
We love to come back down here.